Wake up with Matt in the morning.
Oh, hey, good morning. Thanks for waking up with me one more time. My name is Matt and this is Matt in the Morning. So today we're doing another pulled pork. And we're going to jump right down to the kitchen here in a minute. But I just want to point out, I did brine it for a couple days. I already did that. So once we go down to the kitchen, we're going to be right at the seasoning process. And the brine is just like I did in the last video. So yeah, be sure to check that one out. But I will still have the ingredients and the how-to down below in the description. Gotta slow down, I can't say that too quickly apparently. Yeah, so we're just doing another pulled pork. This one we're gonna wrap in the pink butcher paper. And last time we did in tin foil. And then we're gonna be using some different seasonings this time. Also this time we're doing a smoke tube we're adding into it. Just to see about adding a little more smoke flavor. And see how that turns out. Which is gonna be great. We don't have to see how it's gonna turn out. We know it's gonna be good. So anyways, no sense in chit-chatting too much about it. It's just pulled pork on the smoker. It's gonna be delicious. Let's jump right down into the kitchen.
Hey everybody, welcome to the kitchen. So, like I just said, today we're doing a pork butt. Now I've already done the brine. And I did the brine the same way we did the last one. I'm gonna put the ingredient list and the how-to, of course, down in the description. Briefly, you're gonna take those ingredients, bring them to a boil. I let it simmer for about 5-10 minutes. Once it cools to room temperature, you'll put it in a container. I use one of these, just a 12-quart food container. And it doesn't, so the pork butt comes up to about here, and the liquid comes to about here. So you'll just wanna top it off with apple juice. You could just use water. Some people like to use other sort of fruit juices. Use what you want. I use apple juice. So I like to brine for 24 to 48 hours. This has been in there for about 2 days-ish. So now we're to the seasoning part. Here we go. So what we're gonna do is a two-step process. One is, for this one, is we're gonna do salt and pepper. Not salt and pepper, I'm sorry. We're gonna do garlic and pepper because since we have salt in the brine, I'm trying not to get, and we got salt in the main rub we're using. I'm not wanting to get too much salt going because you can always add salt, you can't take it away. So the first is just a little bit of pepper and garlic. Then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put mustard on this and rub it around. That's going to be the binder for the second layer of seasoning, which I'm using Famous Dave's Rib Rub. This is not a rib, but this is delicious seasoning. So we're going to give it a shot on a pork shoulder. So then we're going to do some garlic. Simple, simple, simple. You know, this is almost Trinity. It's just missing the salt. Bop, bop, bop. Do it all around. Now, you'll also notice, those of you who watched my last pork video will notice that I didn't trim the fat cap off. This part right here. It's kind of a thin fat cap, so I'm not too worried about it. And some people watching this might say, whoa, you don't trim the fat cap anyways. 100 million different ways you can do barbecue. I usually trim the fat cap. Reason being is I want a good bark all around. And just sitting on that fat, I mean, a lot of it's gonna render off, but some of it won't, and I'm just gonna end up cutting it out anyways. Because I don't want you to eat. When you shred this up for pulled pork, you don't wanna bite into a bunch of fat. It's just not tasty and delicious. It just ain't. Here, a little more garlic. So that's just kind of the base right there. Now again, mustard is not for flavor. There's nothing to do with this is flavor, guys. This is just a binder. That's all this is. This is just to get the secondary layer of seasoning on. So I'm gonna rub this all around because with that Dave's, we wanna be sure to get that every nook and cranny. Every single nook and cranny. And I'll show you And once we put the Daves on, I'm then going to keep it in this pan and just cover it with foil, and we're going to let it sit. It's going to sit for about a day. Roughly 24 hours. And then we'll crank it up. So there we go. Just a thin layer. Some people use other stuff. I use mustard. It's cheap and easy. It's cheap and easy. So we use mustard. Now my neighbor hates mustard with a passion. If she watches this video, she'll probably just turn it off and call me with some not so friendly words. Hates mustard. Okay, so now for the main rub. Boom. Famous Dave's rib rub. That's what I use. That's what I like. It's awesome on ribs too. That's what I use on the best ever ribs. May or may not be my wife's favorite. That's why we're trying it on this one. So, now you want to put a very liberal amount on. This is a big piece of meat. It can take a lot of seasoning, right? Lot. Oh, back to the fat cap real quick. Some people say, oh, you want that fat on there for flavor, this and that. The thing is, there's a lot of fat throughout a pork shoulder, or pork butt, whichever you prefer to call it. So I personally don't see the need. I've made them with it and without it, and I prefer it without it. I think you get a better bark, get a better flavor without the fat cap. Some will disagree, and that's fine. I'll flip this over. Yeah, see that mustard with the pepper and garlic really kicked it up a notch with being able to add this second layer. Anyways, you might be saying, hey Matt, what? You didn't finish putting it on that side. What are you doing? Well, I gotta open up this one, so I'm not gonna waste your time with that. Listen, so that's the seasoning part. So we brined it for 24 to 48 hours. I did 48. We did pepper and garlic, rubbed the mustard on it for a binder, and we're adding the Famous Dave's rib rub. At this point, I'm gonna put tin foil over the top, put it back in the fridge for 24 hours, then we'll bring it back out and we'll get it on the smoker. I'll just get back to you then. So for now, I'm just gonna finish getting this thing seasoned up, and that's it. So, hey, I'll see you tomorrow when it's time to throw this thing on the smoker. All right, and just like that, it's been 24 hours. This thing has been in the fridge covered with, so at this point, I've got the grill, the smoker out there preheated to 200 degrees. We also got a smoke tube going. The smoke tube's optional. If you want some extra smoke on there or an extra different flavor, go ahead and crank that up. If not, no big deal. So yeah, it's just got a couple more minutes. We're gonna take this piece of meat, toss it on the top rack, and just let it go. All right, so now that we're preheated up to 200 degrees, we are ready to go. And the pellets we're using today are actually hickory. I thought I had fruitwood blend and competition blend, but I apparently do not. I have pecan and hickory. So we're going with hickory today. Now, don't know how much you can see because it is dark out here, but I'm throwing this pork butt on the upper rack, and below it I actually have a water pan. That's to do one of two things. One, to catch anything dripping off, and two, with that water, just to help with moisture. I've never used one before. Some people might say you don't need it. Maybe, maybe not. This is my first time trying it, so I'll let you know. Also, I don't know if you can see it, but right down here we have a smoke tube. Just something else we're doing to try to add a little extra smoke to this pork butt. So, alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and plop a couple temperature probes in. Set them for 160. That's my reminder to come out here because it's about 10 o'clock at night and I am going to bed. See ya in the morning, and we'll check on this and get it wrapped. Alright, so since it's raining out, I brought this thing in here so we can just do it in here. Didn't want to get everything set up in the rain, obviously. So here we are. So down below, you can see we got the pork shoulder, pork butt, whichever. And we had an internal temp of 165. That means it's time to wrap. for those of you that do wrap. And again, we're using the pink or peach, whatever it's called, butcher paper. Again, last time I did tin foil, and so we're trying this time. They say with this, it's going to be in between not wrapping and wrapping with tin foil. It's going to breathe, but it's still going to be wrapped. So yeah, anyways, we're just going to do it. It's going to be delicious. And you can see, look, I tell you, I like the bark that we got already. Let me hold this up in case you can't see it well on the GoPro. Look at that. This thing is beautiful. And it smells delicious. Delicious. So yeah, here we go. Let's just go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm gonna wrap it a few times. The old butcher paper. Don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Okay. Maybe I need a camera person for wrapping. Oh well. Here we are. We're committed to it. Not a very pretty wrap job. But here we go then. Here we go. Now it's wrapped. So all I'm gonna do is throw this back on the pellet grill. May even crank the heat up to about 250, because at this point when it's wrapped, we ain't getting any more smoke. So, and I am going to plop my temperature probes back in because I'm looking for an internal temp of 203. That's when I'm going to pull it off. We'll actually put it in a cooler full of towels. I'll show you that. I'm going to let it rest for about an hour or so. Yeah, 203 is when shreddability is prime time. So let me just get this back on the grill. I'll bring you guys back when it's time to throw it in the cooler. See you in a minute. All right, we got an internal temp of 203. It's time to take this thing off of here. Let's get the probes out. And woo, piping hot, piping hot. And that's it. There's our wrapped pork butt. Now we're gonna put it in the cooler here. So what we're gonna do is you can double or triple wrap it in tin foil. Even if it was already in tin foil, we would obviously be double or triple wrapping it again. Not quite enough. I got some more down here. I use the heavy duty tin foil, so I don't get too crazy with, you know, having to have it triple wrapped or whatever. So at this point, we're just going to drop it right in the cooler. I'll show you that here in 1 second. And there we have it. We have our wrapped pork butt, now double wrapped in tin foil. I'm gonna put a couple of towels on top, extra insulation, close the lid, and that's it. It's gonna sit in there for about an hour. Now this is also a trick to where if you have this thing done, you know, 3 hours before you're gonna eat, that's fine. Plop it in the cooler just how I did right there. And I've had it in there before for up to 6 hours and it was still piping hot. So anyways, we'll let it rest and we'll get it out and shred it up. And now that it's rested for a little over an hour or so, we are ready to get into this thing. So down below here it is. And this thing was already starting to fall apart as I was just transferring it from the wrap into the container to shred it. And you can see the bark is really solid all around. I like that. All right, let's just get to shredding. What are we doing poking at it? It's crazy. And I'm using these shredders again. You probably saw them from the first pulled pork video. Just some Pampered Chef's shredders, and I really like them. They've been great. So, oh man, yeah. This thing is shredding right up. This thing is ready to go. Shredding up super easy. We got that good bark on it that's going to get mixed in there. Yeah, let me just pull up some pieces here. Oh yeah. Like this is moist, juicy, yummy, tasty. I say that's already had a piece. That's really good. Got that bark. That's really good. Got that pepper and garlic. Got that that Dave's. Man, that Dave's, it does good on ribs and pulled pork. This is really good. So anyways, I'm not going to bore you with watching me just shred this whole thing. But yeah, there we go. There's a pork butt. Shredded up. This was really good. I'm a big fan of the butcher paper. I will definitely be using that again. I do think the bark came out a little bit better than with wrapping with tin foil. And probably the next one we're going to do, we're not going to wrap at all, and we'll see what happens. But this is really good. And that famous Dave's rib rub is really good. I'm going to start putting that on. I'm going to put that on everything. But that with some of that Trinity minus the salt, it's really good. It's really good. Listen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I don't know why I'm chewing food while I'm trying to do the end of a video. That doesn't even make sense. That's how good this is. So anyways, just go ahead, if you haven't already, subscribe, like it, share it, leave me a comment, whatever you want to do. You know what, I gotta go. I'm getting to the pulled pork. See you next time.